Hi, I'm Charita, a cloud support engineer here at the AWS office in Northern Virginia. Today, I'm going to show you how to troubleshoot the QueueDoesNotExist error that can occur when you make API calls to an Amazon Simple Queue service or an SQS queue. Let's get started. The QueueDoesNotExist error can happen with SQS API calls such as GetQueueAttributes, SendMessage, and DeleteMessage. To troubleshoot the error, first, check that the queue URL you're using is correct and has no typos. If it's a first in first out or a FIFO queue, then make sure that the .FIFO suffix is included. Next, make sure that you're making the request to the correct AWS region. SQS clients such as an AWS SDK or the AWS command line interface don't get the destination region from the queue URL. Instead, the AWS CLI or the AWS SDK sets the region based on the region that you specify in the client configuration. Accordingly, review the client configuration to confirm that you included the region. Or you can add a feature flag region to set the correct region for an SQS command. You can also check the AWS CloudTrail logs across all regions for the SQS operations to determine whether the region is incorrect. Another reason why you might get the QueueDoesNotExist error is because the queue was recently deleted. Check the CloudTrail for purge queue or delete queue events around the time of the error. For a cross-account queue, you must specify the queue owner's account ID when you're using the GetQueueURL API because the account isn't included in the request by default. For standard queues that you configured with the dead letter queue, messages get moved to the DL queue after retry attempts. After the message moves to the DL queue, you might get an error when you're deleting a message from the main queue with an old receipt handle. To prevent this error, make sure that you delete your messages within the configured visibility timeout window. For more information, see the link in the video's description. Finally, to verify that the requesting AWS Identity and Access Management user or role has the correct permissions for the SQS actions, use the GetCallerIdentity API. For example, Amazon SQS policies, see the link in the video's description. For further assistance, open a case with AWS support and provide the request IDs and timestamps with the time zone of the failed API calls. So now you know how to troubleshoot the QueueDoesNotExist error that can occur when you make API calls to the Amazon SQS queue. Thanks for watching and happy cloud computing from all of us here at AWS.